This is Self-Starter. Welcome, folks, to Self-Starter Season 2. This is a podcast that highlights the small business owners, the self-employed and freelancers who have taken the plunge to create their own desirable lifestyle. My name is Andy Dowling. I'm also the host of the Andy Social Podcast, as well as the bass player in the Australian metal band Lord. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook by searching at Andy Dowling, or you can go to selfstarter.com.au where you can learn more about yours truly, as well as anything and everything to do with the self-employment world. So as you would have seen from the title, yes, this is the end of Season 2 for Self-Starter. And while it has been far shorter than Season 1, and yes, far shorter than anticipated for Season 2, here we are. And I thought it would be fitting to do a quick wrap-up episode. I've written out a bunch of notes here, so I'm going to stumble all the way through it, so you have to bear with me. But I thought it would be beneficial to give a little bit of context, a few quick thoughts and reflect over this very short season, but a lot of great guests that have been on along the way, and just put a little bow on the end of this great season. So while yes, it has been far shorter, the guests have been absolutely stellar, and some great stories have been shared, and I'm sure that many people would agree, especially for a lot of you that have been listening since day dot. There's been lots of great ideas and insights along the way from all of these amazing guests that have come from lots of different backgrounds. And as you would have been following from season 1, I started to expand the guests and include people from metro and built-up areas, not just focus on regional people, which is pretty much the basis of where Self-Starter came from. And we got lots of different people from different backgrounds, and they were able to share their individual stories and their journeys. And while there were lots of new ideas that came along, there was lots of common themes that kept reoccurring, stuff from season 1, and a lot of patterns started to emerge, which I found really reassuring. Lots of basic stuff about story, narrative, community, networking, getting people involved. And the best thing about this is that being a self-starter, using air quotes, is really tough. It's not an easy thing. There's lots of easier things to do in life. And if you have the luxury of being able to get traditional employment and be employed, then that might be an easier path for many people to take. So when people do have the option and still go down the path of creating, as I keep saying, their own desirable lifestyle, it's not an easy path to take. It's very challenging. There's a lot of roadblocks along the way, a lot of things to jump over, and a lot of self-discovery along the way. But the cool thing about it is that you don't need a tertiary education. You don't need qualifications in a particular field. You don't need, a complicated or complex skill set to be able to embark on your own self-employment journey. You don't even need an exciting or original or cutting edge idea or concept to be able to have a successful business or a successful journey being self-employed. What you need is you. You're unique in itself. Your own story, your own journey, everything about you is completely unique to everybody else out there. So while you might decide to start a business doing something that everybody else is well aware of and it's commonplace, your own unique personality and your own story will be the point of difference. And then you can obviously extend on that and go from there. And that's been a really reassuring thing and a common theme along the way. And a lot of stuff that the ingredients of what it takes to be successful when being a self-starter is stuff that comes from within. It's determination, it's perseverance, resilience, and patience, lots of things like this. But the most important ingredients is you. You have to be the point of difference there, and it's putting yourself out there, which is tough. It's not easy, but everything's within you already. It's just a case of being able to find it and continue to push forward and find your own spot in the world where you can create your own desirable lifestyle and work off your own initiative and create something really special. So I must do a quick thank you to all the guests that have been on the podcast. I've got a list of names here, so I'll quickly run through them in no particular order, probably closer to the order of the episodes that came out. But Chris from Speed Metal Scrap, George from George's Tech Repairs, Matthew from Buying Property Victoria, Jennifer from Social Hair Co., Tennille from The Establishment Bar, Aaron from Bit of Few, Ben from Chrono's Concert Service, Paul from Ibbotson Drums, Mishka from Bondi Heat, and of course Monica Strutt as well, who was also a guest on the podcast. Thank you so much to all of you, if you're listening to this, for spending a bit of time out of your busy days to decompress, reflect, give me some attention to be able to talk about your story, because one thing that I've learnt along the way is that we might have lots of time, or we might see lots of time available in the day, but when our minds are swept up in our own businesses, our own journeys, our own projects, it's really hard to disconnect and find the mental space to be able to sit down and have conversations, or even just have time to reflect. It's a really important thing to do, I find, and when I get to talk to people, I find that a common theme from being able to, after talking to a lot of these great people, is that they really enjoy being able to look back momentarily and just have a quick reflection and just see what they've been able to do to date, because most of us never get the chance to do it. We don't allow ourselves to do it. And so I think that's been a really rewarding thing that many people that have been on the Self-Starter podcast, but also Anti-Social as well, have been able to sort of look back through that conversation and really get some value out of sharing their thoughts and their story, and sharing with more than just me, just to everybody that's been able to listen as well. So thank you for all those people that have been able to share their ideas, share their stories, and also provide some reassurance to all of us, to me personally, but to, I'm sure, lots of other people, that it's not always exciting, it's not always glamorous, it's not always a really intoxicating, motivating path to go down. It can be really hard. It can be a grind. It can feel like you're making the worst decisions in the world. It could feel like you're on the verge of throwing the towel in, but you keep going. And I think that's one thing that I've really got out of a lot of these conversations with these amazing people on the way. So as we wrap it up, because I'm going to keep this short and sweet, the big question that looms is, will there be a season 3? And the answer at the moment is, I don't know. I'm not sure. So part of the reason why I'm wrapping up season 2 a little bit earlier than anticipated is there's been a bunch of changes in my own life. I've relocated back into the heart of Sydney. I'm living in Pyrmont now. And that's fantastic. But the dynamic around Self-Starter has certainly changed over time. And Self-Starter started because I had moved down to the South Coast, bought property down there, and lived and started my own journey down there, and identified that a lot of people in regional Australia have a lot of great opportunities but don't often see it. And I thought it would be great to be able to highlight the stories from people that are outside of the metro areas that would traditionally have opportunities at their fingertips, and show that no matter where you are in the country, for the most part, there are opportunities there. Sometimes it takes a little bit of creative thought, but sometimes it's the most simplistic of concepts and ideas that you can latch onto. And it might not be glamorous. It might not be initially very rewarding to take on some of these opportunities that are in front of us, but they certainly lead to great things down the track. And I've certainly got a lot of those stories from the people, especially in season 1 of the podcast. But I've moved to Sydney now, and season 2 definitely did branch out, but coming back into the city, I think mentally I've decided that I'm going to take on lots more things and lots more projects and fun things to get immersed into, which is fantastic. But it also means that realistically I can't do everything at once. And Self-Starter, unfortunately, has not been at the top of the list of priorities for me over the past couple of months, and I've realized that I need to make a really hard decision and wrap it up a bit earlier than anticipated. So it's sad in a way, because I've really enjoyed it. It's been a really rewarding podcast for me to do. It's opened up a lot of doors for me, a lot of accolades, a lot of attention from different people, and it's been able to open up conversations with people that I never thought I'd be able to talk to. So it's a bit sad to be able to wrap it up, but at the same time, the wonders of podcasting means that I can recommence this whenever the hell I want. And when it comes to something like this, that's been so rewarding for me, and I won't crap on because you guys would have heard me talk about this, ad nauseum in the past, whether it be on Andy Social or even on Self-Starter. When something like this is as rewarding as it has been for me, all I can say is never say never. Season 3 may happen sometime down the track, but at this stage, I'll put that idea on ice, and I'll leave it sit there for the time being and get immersed into some of these other things that I've been finding a spark of passion for, and I really want to see what I can do with a lot of these other things. And time's on my side, as a lot of us have seen in self-starter episodes and these stories, that patience is a big thing. And it's not about a quick win. It's not about a quick buck. It's about setting foundations and taking your time and doing things the best that you possibly can, and understanding when to pivot, when to change, and when to seize opportunities as they come. So I'm going to wrap it up at that. If you want to keep in contact with me, you can go to selfstarter.com.au. Everything will be up on there as always. You'll be able to continue to go back and listen to all the episodes from season 1 and season 2. So if you haven't listened to everything, please go back and have a listen. Even the guests that you think might not be up your alley because maybe they're working in an industry that you've got no interest in, or you think there's no relevance, what you'll find, and I think what a lot of people are finding, is that there's a lot of parallels and a lot of best practices that can be shared across lots of different industries and backgrounds. So give it some time, go back and have a listen to some of the episodes that you may have skipped over. And if you do know anybody out there that is feeling maybe a little bit lost, maybe somebody who's not completely satisfied in general with life, maybe they've had ideas that they'd love to do and maybe have just been a little bit too scared to take the first step, share a couple of episodes with them, share Self-Starter. More than happy to chat to anybody out there and give some thoughts on ideas and maybe help get that first step happening, because action's more important than the idea. You don't have to have the most exciting or original idea out there. It's all about taking action. It's about getting out and just making something of whatever you've got inside you. So that's the biggest thing. So reach out to me on Self-Starter. All the episodes will be over there. I've been meaning to put everything up on YouTube, so I'll get to doing that shortly, so you'll be able to find them on YouTube. And also andydowling.net. You can also find me on the Andy Social podcast. I also have another podcast that's coming out very soon, which I don't think I've announced it anywhere, but I may as well do it. It's very fitting for the end of season 2 for Self-Starter. But that's called Nod to the Old School. It's a 10-part series that's going to be out in the next few weeks, hopefully. And it's a bit of a promotional tool for our latest album, Fallen Idols, released by Lord. And that'll be available over at andydowling.net, or you'll be able to find it in the usual podcast haunts as well. But it's a great podcast series that's going to be stories from lots of great people in the metal and rock world, talking about their very first mixtapes. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. I've been putting a lot of time into that, which has probably been another sort of thing behind the scenes that has taken me away a little bit from Self-Starter. But I'm looking forward to getting that out there. So follow me on the socials at Andy Dowling on all the platforms. I'm pretty heavy on the old social media. andydowling.net, selfstarter.com.au, andysocial.net, all those places. I'm really easy to track down. But thank you so much for listening, supporting, giving me your feedback, guest suggestions along the way, expanding my network, and it's just been fantastic to be able to share so much with you all. And I want to keep hearing from you all, so please keep in contact. And if you have ideas for what Self-Starter could be in the future, I would love to hear it. And maybe Self-Starter moving forward will be a group project where I can get more people involved and make it bigger than what it is. But it's been a lot of fun getting it to where it is at the moment, and I'm happy to put a nice little bow and a finishing touch on the podcast series today. So thank you so much, and until whenever, take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Larry,